their in their budget, the directly stated reason, because that is against the Biden policy, which is one based around climate change and renewables, and we're going to kill oil and natural gas. So when the Biden administration, when Joe Biden or anybody in his administration or anybody on the Democrat side, or even some Republicans say, hey, we really like, you're not against oil, natural gas, or it's not our fault that we're having diminishing production. That is a flat out lie. It is the administration policy to restrict production of oil and natural gas in this country. That is their stated policy. And the way you do that is you go back and you do a full wholesale review on all leases to make certain that anybody who's applied to be able to drill a hole in federal land, which is leased to them, that person has to go back to square one on the regulatory process and defend every piece of paper they were forced to file before they could drill that hole. So that ends new natural gas, new oil production. Because the objective isn't to get to yes, the objective is to create no, to delay, stall, and make it not profitable to do so. That is what the goal is. So don't allow the big lie to be told to you about how this administration is actually, that they're not responsible for the high energy prices. There is some small portion of the energy price increases that are a result of the Russia-Ukraine war. Some small amount of that is true. There is a significant portion of it that's a result of the squeeze on domestic energy production. And a significant portion of it is the fact that this administration has chosen to be at war with Saudi Arabia. And as a result, Saudi Arabia has diminished the amount of oil they're pumping and pushing out into the world market, driving the price up. That is a fact. And that is the truth. So do not allow those guys, the Jen Psaki's of the world, to tell you anything else. Look at their own budget, look at what they are saying on their budget, and what you will discover is that these guys are, in fact, at war with you. And I'm trying to find the exact, okay. I'm going to read you the reason for change, this is in the budget. It's page 31 out of 120 pages on the budget. And the administration, the Biden administration, Department of Treasury, is explaining why they want to eliminate change the tax law to increase the tax burden on oil and natural gas. I'm just going to read you this one paragraph. This is once again page 31 of the budget released out of the Treasury Department. You find it at treasury.gov. And here's what they say. These oil, gas, and coal tax preferences distort markets by encouraging more investment in the fossil fuel sector than would occur under a neutral system. This market distortion is detrimental to long-term energy security and now listen to that, okay? Lower oil, natural gas, and coal prices are according to the administration, is a distortion. Detrimental to long-term energy security is also inconsistent with the administration's policy of supporting a clean energy economy, reducing our reliance on oil, and reducing greenhouse gas emissions. So when they talk about, Green New Deal, we're not doing Green New Deal stuff. Don't worry about it. You don't have to worry about that. They stated in the Department of Treasury states it in their document that they're changing tax policy. They're recommending changes to tax policy specifically to try to choke out the ability for oil, natural gas to compete and coal to compete. Now, let's be clear. This is the same administration that wants to put subsidies for electric cars. This is the same administration that is subsidizing renewable energy and so-called renewable energy, wind, solar, at record levels. They claim that they're saying, these subsidies distort the market. The distortion of the market, wonder what the distortion of the market is? The wind production tax credit is a distortion of the market, where people are paid to invest in wind farms, and they get a pretty big tax subsidy for investing in wind farms. No less of an expert than Warren Buffett, though the top, somebody's been credited as being the top investor in America. Warren Buffett has stated the reason he invests in wind farms is because of the tax credit. because as an entity, as a business entity, it is a losing proposition. So we want to talk about distorting markets. You distort markets by subsidizing wind production tax credit and getting windmills all over our landscape, all over the former pristine hills going between Riverside and Palm Springs, among other places. And instead you actually are distorting the market by the wind production tax credit, because it forces dollars. It creates a situation where you have no lose investments simply based on being able to write them off against your taxes, against the profits you have elsewhere, dollar for dollar. It's a credit, as those of you who are doing tax season right now may realize, a credit is different than a deduction. A credit allows you to say, I owe $100 in taxes. And if I've got a $100 credit, I don't owe any taxes. A deduction is I owe $100 worth of taxes. I have a $100 deduction. I'm paying taxes. The top tax in my right now is, let's say you're paying 20%, just for grins and giggles. I'm paying 20% on the last dollars that I made, since it's progressive. So that means your $100 deduction is worth $20 and you pay $80. So the difference between a credit, in this example, a credit and a deduction, is an $80 difference in terms of what you pay. And that's why the wind production tax credit is so coveted by investors, and particularly by big investors like Buffett, because they make a lot of money on a lot of investments. And the government's basically saying, we're going to just take anything you invest in wind production, we're just going to just take it off your profit of how much taxes you're going to owe. If you invest $100 million, just take $100 million off the taxes you owe. That's a directly subsidized industry. So please understand, when they say that they're against the market distortions, the left engages in the greatest market distortions possible through tax law. And so let's just be honest about it, and we'll have an honest discussion. And if you want to get rid of all energy tax credits and subsidies, that's fine. Get rid of all of them. That includes, by the way, the amount of money that car companies make, because there's a level of number of cars that they produce, electric cars, and they sell. They get a massive deduction from the government in terms of encouraging them to produce electric vehicles. And in fact, Tesla really never made a profit in its early years. It still hasn't, by the way, but never made a profit. The money that they would show Wall Street as having made was all based on the government subsidy for the amount of electric car purchases and electric car manufacturing. That's just true. And so now you see Ford, GM, Chrysler, all the rest of them are in the EV business. And the reason they're in that business is because they're being paid by the federal government to be in that business. And that's distorting the market once again. So from a budget perspective, just understand the Biden administration is putting their whole foot on the scale in favor of everything but oil, natural gas, and coal, which provide a vast majority of the electricity in this country. Just once again, the truth. So in favor of technologies that don't and won't and don't have the capacity to and aren't resilient. So that's a key. So just as you're thinking, hear them talk about energy, understand Joe Biden may say, and his minions may say, we don't have anything to do with the high cost of gas, but the fact of the matter is their policies do. Let's talk about some things that could be done.